it's a partnership. Yes, there's a transaction, but it's important to have a partnership. And we found a great partner once again in Jon Hamm.
I don't know if there's a question in here, but Ham strikes me as one of those people that every guy wants to be him and every girl wants to be with him.
It's like you were in my strategy meeting.
The Business of Betting podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. 4 out of the top 5 U.S. operators personalize player experiences with Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/businessofbetting. And if you like what you see, you will get your first month free.
Welcome back to another edition of the Business of Betting podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Edelstein, senior analyst over at ingame.com. I'm joined today by Casey Hurbis, the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer of BetMGM. Casey, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for having me here today, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, man. Listen, the first thing that jumps out at me is your career arc. You're not native to the gambling industry. You cut your teeth in automobiles, and you went to Rocket Mortgage for a time, and now you made the big jump to gambling. I have to imagine that while, I'm sure you're a marketing professional and marketing is marketing, but there's got to be some pretty wild differences between these industries, specifically the gambling industry. Am I on the right track there?
I mean, the biggest difference might be between, if you think about it as a consumer, purchasing a vehicle, getting a mortgage, outside of a $199 lease payment on a vehicle or a 2% interest rates if you're refining your home. I mean, you make those types of purchase decisions once every 3, 5, 7, 10 years, whatever it might be. And then, coming to the world of online sports betting and gaming, obviously, our players visit at BetMGM several times a day or a week, depending on the player. So the funnel is a lot different in what relative to a purchase decision or becoming, a player with BetMGM, but there are a lot of similarities. Very highly regulated marketplaces. It's ultra competitive, obviously, as this industry grows. And the competition is always one swipe of the thumb away. There's a lot of choices when it comes to automotive brands. There's 50,000 places you can get a mortgage in this country. And, in some states like Michigan, where I live, there's 70 operators, of which, the offerings might be somewhat similar from markets and what's being offered to players. But there's a lot of choice, and that competition is always one click away. So there's more similarities, than you think from the outside looking in.
You're born and raised Michigan?
Yes, sir. Detroit.
So the BetMGM brand has been pretty strong there because of the brick and mortar, I suppose, yeah?
Well, yeah. I mean, you think about MGM as a brand in itself, right? 80, 90 years, absolutely associated with entertainment, endless possibilities, certainly Vegas, 20 properties in the U.S., 9 on the Strip. And then in Detroit, the MGM Grand property just celebrated its 25th year. It's been an absolutely fantastic property. Prior to joining BetMGM, I would visit MGM as a consumer, if you will, and it's right in the heart of the city. And it continues to be, the strongest property, land-based casino in the city of Detroit. So yes, MGM, and certainly with sports betting and gaming coming legal and regulated in the state of Michigan, it was 2020. I'll never forget the day. I was excited as a consumer. I was literally going to go to MGM Grand and place a bet on my Michigan State Spartans, and COVID hit. It was literally the first day of COVID was when the sportsbook was opening at the casino, and I distinctly remember that moment. But MGM is such a strong brand, and certainly in the state of Michigan.
Yeah. Well, when you decide to make the jump, it's a little bit of a two-part here. Like, what's the biggest opportunity you saw for, on the marketing side at BetMGM? And what was something what was like a red flag maybe that you saw? You're like, man, I got to jump on this immediately. I don't like this at all.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff, I've been here now 10 months as the CMO. I've yet to find the red flag. I'll let you know if I do find one.
Good.
But what made me excited at the possibility of joining BetMGM was a couple of things. One was automotive mortgage, 2 big categories. And as a consumer, a huge sports fan, I was really following the industry as a consumer. And when the opportunity became available for BetMGM, and I was blessed enough to be asked to join as the CMO, I was like, I absolutely want to be part of this industry. I was a fan of the brand, the launch of the Jamie Foxx work at the time, launching the BetMGM brand. And I was like, what an exciting industry. It is fast paced. It is changing. I woke up this morning and, you read the news and there are more changes in the marketplace. And I focus on what's ahead of us and what we can control. And that's, making sure that we have an amazing brand for our players and, driving a great experience for our players on the sports betting and gaming side.
Speaking of Jamie Foxx, the BetMGM has leaned heavily into celebrity and continues to do so now with Jon Hamm, I guess, as being like the lead guy there. I guess it's working out because the company keeps doing it. What's like the logic behind the celebrity endorser? I guess, from a 10,000-foot view, but also like specific to the industry. And like, how do you keep it from just feeling like another celebrity telling me where I should spend my money, I guess?
Now, that's a great question. I'll tell you my philosophy that I've applied when I've had the chance to work with, we'll call it co-branded opportunities. And that could be celebrities, team and league, whatever it might be. And I've done a fair amount of that in my automotive mortgage and now at BetMGM. And a couple of things. One is there's data. I mean, that is not just a CMO or a CEO like, hey, I want to be able to meet somebody and let's have them bring them on. It is very data-led. It's data-led and certainly informed. And then one of the questions we asked ourselves, we restaged the brand this past year. And as part of that strategy and the insights was, do we need a celebrity? Should we have one? Jamie Foxx was amazing, was absolutely synonymous with the brand as we've launched it. And as we've continued to evolve, we asked ourselves that question. So some of that was data-led and inspired. The data and research says associating yourself with a celebrity or brand lifts the brand overall, but it's got to be the right talent. And so then that moves to phase 2. We literally started, Jeff, with 30 faces on a wall, and we tested it, qual and quant. We got feedback. We ultimately went to probably 10 of the talent. We had discussions. Are they interested? Are they willing to work with another brand? Do they want to be associated with BetMGM? Make no mistake, there's a transactional moment that takes place. But even before we even extended offer to Jon Hamm, we presented the concept and the creative to him and got his feedback, and wanted to make sure that if we partner up with anybody like we did with Jamie and now Jon Hamm, that, he, she, or they are absolutely aligned and, aligned with the creative direction, but they want to work with us as a brand. And it's a partnership. Yes, there's a transaction, but it's important to have a partnership. And we found a great partner once again in Jon Hamm.
I don't know if there's a question in here, but Hamm strikes me as one of those people that every guy wants to be him and every girl wants to be with him.
It's like you were in my strategy meeting in which you're exactly right. I mean, listen, it's easy to align on a talent that I like. And I have to remember, I am not the end user. I'm not the player. So part of that research and insights is getting feedback from all types of players, right? Demographically, high end, mid core, low core. If you're going to align yourself with a talent, you want to make sure you're aligning with somebody that certainly appeals to your most optimal audience, but also overall. And Jon Hamm is exactly right. I mean, think about how versatile he is, right? Comedy, drama. He's a huge sports fan. He's from St. Louis. Actually, our first call we had with him, he was wearing a St. Louis Blues t-shirt. He's a huge Chiefs fan, and he's already, booking his tickets for the Super Bowl and hoping the Chiefs make their way there once again.
We'll get back to some of the nitty-gritty marketing stuff in a minute, but I want to touch on something that's specific to Detroit and something that's specific to my neck of the woods out here in New Jersey. I have a very, very soft spot for the city. I've never been there, never visited Detroit, but my favorite author, when I say favorite author, there's him, and then, you have to turn about 14 pages and go down 33 other lists before you get to my second favorite author. But my favorite author of all time.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah, it's easy. Go ahead.
Mitch Albom.
No. Elmore.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Elmore Leonard, the late, great Elmore Leonard.
Yes, of course.
The Dickens of Detroit, they called him.
That's exactly right. I'm a big Mitch Albom fan, but that's also, shows my passion for sports.
I like Mitch. Oh, let's think of sports, Mitch. But all right, I'll let you have it. Let's talk Jersey. I understand. So I guess this job of yours now has you come into New York every once in a while. Is that the idea?
More than once. I mean, I am here. So our office is in Jersey City. Beautiful view right across the Hudson from the World Trade Center. And I am here 3 weeks a month. So when I joined the organization in December of last year, we're really blessed, Jeff. We've got 1,500 team members, probably 70% of which live in the New York, New Jersey area. We have an amazing space here in Jersey City. And so I'm here 3 weeks a month and absolutely I dig it. I stay in Jersey City. I'll stay right across the river in the World Trade Center area and bring the path in over every day. So I'm now like a regular commuter.
There you go. So you spent a lot of time now in Jersey after a career in Michigan and a life in Michigan. What's your view? What do you think? I mean, do we live up to the...
I'll tell you, I'll give you my perspective. One is, New York's beyond amazing, vibrant, electric. I feel like a small town kid every time I step into the city. I'll tell you, I spent a lot of time here in Jersey City and Hoboken. It reminds me of Detroit in a lot of ways too, especially here in Jersey City where our office is. You continue to see, the continued evolution of the city and revitalization, of this area of Jersey City and going into Hoboken and, the restaurants, the vibe, it's fun. I mean, I'm getting into it and doing my restaurant tours and, I was taking advice from the locals. They love sharing with that where their favorite hot dog, pizza, or deli is.
Well, we'll get to pizza in a second. It just dawned on me. I guess you got to witness a little firsthand the Jersey City mayoral race, which has been a big humdinger this year. A lot of action there.
Yeah, and New York. I mean, there's a lot of buzz over there in the city.
All right, let's talk pizza. I understand you took it upon yourself to sample as much pizza as you can get your hands on in the tri-state area.
Yeah, I take advice. Actually, we had Jerry Ferrera here yesterday, Turtle from Entourage.
Sure.
And anytime I get a chance to, and we had Derek Jeter in the office a few weeks ago, and I got to look at my notes, which one he said. I always ask them, like, what's the place? And I've enjoyed it. Like, I've done Joe's, Prince Street, Lay Industry, Bleecker Street. There's a bunch of places in Brooklyn I got to get to soon. There's no shortage. I mean, I'm over almost, I'm pizza all the time here in the tri-state area.
So you got to get down. I think I told you this when I met you a few weeks back. You got to get down to the Mercer County area for the Trenton tomato pie. Completely different experience.
Yeah, I know. I wrote that down when you told me.
The job that you have, I guess obviously one of the jobs is to make BetMGM stand out, right? And make it like the sportsbook. Obviously, I'm not breaking news here. BetMGM is not at the level of FanDuel and DraftKings and, across the country. Obviously, everyone wants to be at first or second place. What do you think are some of the things that can help move the needle here? Because I do think, before you answer, if you asked people 7 years ago when PASPA fell, who are going to be, the top two sports books in the land, nobody was going to say FanDuel and DraftKings, right? Caesars would be a name. William Hill. MGM would be a name that you would hear. No, but so I don't think we're at a stage where we could write the book on, the final history of this. We're still in the very early stages of all this. So what is BetMGM doing? What can BetMGM do to differentiate itself? I can't even say the word, to separate itself a little bit from the pack here and make it synonymous, make it, the Kleenex, if you will, of sports betting.
Yeah, and that's a great question, Jeff. And, that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Again, living in Michigan, there's 70 operators. I mean, there's a lot of noise in the marketplace. I mean, you drive down the main arteries into or out of the city, and between lawyers and sports books or gaming, I mean, every other billboard fills those categories. So what does it take to stand out different from a brand? A couple things. One is, FanDuel and DraftKings, fantastic. But us at BetMGM, where we find ourselves differentiating is, at the end of the day, BetMGM, certainly with our partnership with MGM, I mean, we are at the forefront of entertainment and gaming. We've got the spirit of Las Vegas woven into our DNA. And above and beyond that, going back to, a very competitive marketplace, there's a lot of acquisition takes place. The average sports bettor carries 3+ apps in their phone, right? And there's a lot of choice. And we know that where our differentiation in the marketplace is certainly our partnership with MGM. As I mentioned, over 50% of Americans visit a casino every year, right? Adults, visit a casino every year. And where do we have? We have 20 properties, 9 on the Strip and 20 across the U.S. And so our players want to have that type of experience. And land base and being partnered with MGM opens up so many possibilities for our players as we think about loyalty and rewards, being able to have once in a lifetime experiences. I mean, we've got one of our main talents joining, our VIPs here next week at the F1 race. With Derek Jeter, hosting clients and players of ours at a dinner recently. I mean, those are once in a lifetime opportunities that our players want. And, being able to experience Las Vegas or other properties across the U.S. is certainly a difference maker in a very competitive marketplace.
As you're talking, I'm thinking in my head, if somebody gave me a quiz and said, in a word or two, define the marketing plans of all the major players. And for DraftKings, if it comes to mind, it's they're bro culture. I feel like that's where they're headed. FanDuel seems if you're betting sports, you could come to FanDuel. We're the buttoned up professionals here. You guys, again, if I had to just put it out there, it's more of the refined gentleman. The guy who used to read Esquire 20 years ago. I feel like that is more of the angle that you guys are after. Am I sniffing something here?
Yeah, hey, for your listeners, for anyone the younger, Esquire was an amazing book about 20 years ago. We all would get it to the house. I was like, when I get my first job, I'm getting Esquire. Listen, I wouldn't, as you described them, and as I focus on the BetMGM side, I think you're exactly right. I mean, we appeal to an elevated player. I mean, that is part of our strategy, is appealing to a more of an elevated player, if you will. We are open to everybody, make no mistake. But again, with our tagline of Make It Legendary, I'll tell you a quick story. Make It Legendary means something different to everybody. I'll never forget, as we were testing the Make It Legendary campaign line, we met a woman from Detroit. She was a bus driver, right? And she's been an avid, player with MGM for 20 plus years. She's a player with BetMGM. And she told her legendary moment of that day she was at a slot machine and won X amount of money. Certainly not life-changing, but for her, that was like the moment she shares of like the pinnacle of excitement that she's had, working with MGM or BetMGM. And that was an aha moment for me, because it's not just the top of the mountain, big wins or life experiences. It could be something that's very simple to, the woman in Detroit, as I described it. And that's what MGM, because we can offer all of that to our players. And that's certainly on the sports betting side. And then we're really proud of what we have on the iGaming side, certainly 5,500 titles, exclusive games, and people love The Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, a Family Feud, and then you get in some of our highest rated and highest usage games are the ones that we have with our team partners. Like, I live in Michigan, as I mentioned, like Blackjack, Pittsburgh, Steelers or Philadelphia Eagles gaming products are like, they absolutely crush. And that's exciting, because bringing something that's exclusive to our players and all unique to them is, what it's all about. That's how you differentiate yourselves in the marketplace.
The marketing between the sportsbook, which is live, probably I don't know the numbers, but over 30 states, I'm sure, compared to the iCasino, where I think you guys are probably in the 6 or 7.
5. We'll be in 30 with Missouri and 5. Yeah.
So how different is like the marketing plans for those two products themselves, or do they share a lot of the same DNA?
Yeah, they do share a lot of DNA. Interestingly enough, Jeff, over 70% of our sports bettors cross over to the iGaming side. And so there's a lot of, if you will, cross-sell. And then, if you look at the demographics, you would imagine, right? I mean, it would be a shocker to nobody. On the sportsbook side, obviously skews more male than the gaming side. And on the iGaming side, skews a little bit older from a demographic standpoint. But the DNA and the strategy is one and the same. I mean, in the world we live in today, it is so easy to deliver personalized messages. So, Jeff, we have a pretty good idea of what your interests are, what you watch, what you consume. The right marketers can serve the right message to the right player at the right time. I mean, it is now at a point in the world of AI and personalization that you might wake up every Saturday morning and you watch Premier League and you're a big Premier League fan, but you may have the tendency to, why you love Premier League, you love, placing bets on single game parlays or NFL, whatever it might be. And why, if I'm a smart marketer and I know you enjoy watching Premier League, I should be serving you a NFL ad while you're watching Premier League. May feel weird when you're watching it, but we all want that Uber, i.e. Amazon Prime type of shopping experience. And, the world we live in now, I mean, we are going from channel-based to people-based marketing targeting.
So when I open up my app at BetMGM, I'm seeing something different than the guy next door.
You very well could be. Sure. We all want personalized experiences. Think about when you open up your Amazon Prime, you open up your Uber. We all want that level of personalization. How do you continuously, as a brand, how do you remove friction and, extra clicks or swipes to get where you want?
It's funny when you say that we want it. I think we want it once we have it. I think we don't want it if we don't have it. I think everyone was a little bit concerned when they once said the word sofa, and then for the next 8 months, their Facebook feed was just, want to buy a sofa? Right? There's something like a little spooky about it, until the one time where I'm like, where I want something and it feeds it to me. I'm like, oh, I never would have even found this if I didn't know that it was, if it didn't end up on my screen. Right.
Yeah. Do you remember that movie? It was with Tom Cruise, called Minority Report. I mean, this was in like early mid 2000s. This is before
the precogs.
Yeah, the precogs. Exactly right. But there's a scene in that movie, and at the time it freaked you out. This is before the words contextual or behavioral targeting were even a marketing term. Tom Cruise is running from the enemy, and he's running through a mall. And as he's running through the mall, the wall came alive, and they're like, I forget his name, and we'll call him Tom. Hey, Tom, blah, blah, and started talking about Gap jeans. And then it was here. And then I remember thinking, like, are you kidding? Like, that is so freaky, like, and we're here now. And it's like, you don't know you want it until you have it. And think about how frustrated you might get is if you're in your phone and you're scrolling through and you're getting served something for, women's clothes or little kids' toys. You're like, I'm not like, who took my phone? Did my wife grab my phone? Did my kids grab it? Why? You almost get frustrated now as a consumer if you're being served things that aren't relevant to you or you don't want.
100%. Over the summer, there's this guy that I know. I don't like him, but he's, around town and corners me socially. And he's talking to me about his Instagram account, right? Now I have an Instagram account, but I really don't use the Instagram account, right? I really don't. But he tells me about his Instagram account. And so I go online, I go on Instagram, I look at him, look at his account. I'm like, oh, Jesus, this guy's out of, he thinks he's like some social media star. He's got like 18 likes on something, whatever. So I show my wife this, right? And she gets a kick out of it. End of story. And then I'm like, a day later, I'm like, maybe I'll check out Instagram now since, I'm now my interest is the tiniest bit peaked. So I go to this guy. He's about, 65 years old, gray hair, gray beard, big fat guy, right? And now I go to my search page and it's just populated with shirtless men, 65 years old, right? Bearded. And I'm like, this is not what I'm after here, Instagram. But that's what they thought I was into.
You're now being targeted.
So I immediately started Googling pictures of women in bikinis,
Correct your algorithm.
As far as the marketing goes, now, again, we'll use your career, Rocket Mortgage. You're not going to go out into a commercial and say, buy a house and, you're buying the American dream. You can hint at it, right? You're selling a Trans Am in 1977. You're not going to say, this Trans Am is going to get you laid, but you hint at it, right? In this industry, sports betting and casino, highly regulated, right? A lot of eyes on it. How do you and where's the thought process of, how do you push those creative boundaries in this industry when nobody knows exactly where the line is, but if you cross it, everyone's going to let you know?
Great question. I mean, I'll tell you on the mortgage side at Rocket Mortgage, I'm not going to speak up about bad behaviors that took place in, the mid to late 2000s or early 2000s, but we had the philosophy at Rocket Mortgage was always do the right thing. And actually, that's one of the things that really attracted me to BetMGM, Jeff, was the values that we have, play to win, know the odds, show the love. And while we are in a highly regulated industry and highly regulated for the right reasons to make sure that our players are protected, I mean, BetMGM, we recognize the importance of responsible gambling. We're absolutely committed to embedding in all of our activities, right? From a player experience standpoint, we make in-app limits, we make counseling and resources available to our players. And there's not anything that we do that doesn't go out of the marketplace that we don't make sure that we're reviewing it internally with our compliance or state regulators, whatever, because we want to make sure. I mean, it's a highly regulated, and the last thing we want to do is put our players at risk or, run afoul of, our partners at the state level. So we'll get feedback along the way. You address the feedback. And I've had an adage as a marketer that you're never going far enough unless you're looking over the ledge. You should look over the ledge as a marketer, i.e. test the limits. But don't worry, I got plenty of people that are ready to pull me back up by the belt. And my philosophy also, too, as a marketer is make bold moves, but don't break it. The most important job I have as a CMO of a brand is to grow and protect the brand. That is the most valuable asset of this organization, right? And, same thing for MGM Resorts. We've seen this happen in the past where people make grave mistakes with their brand and it immediately falls down. It falls to the bottom line overnight.
Yeah. Going back to that responsible gambling thing for a minute, I guess when you're building these campaigns, where does it land in the building of it? I guess that's what I'm asking. At what point do those bricks get laid?
Well, I'll tell you what, from the very beginning, from the briefing to creative concepting, production, post, what have you. I mean, again, keeping in mind when you brief a creative or team or an agency, developing the work, shooting it in post-production, I mean, there isn't anything that's done that doesn't keep, making sure that we're presenting RG, either language or the mindset of who we are as a company in everything we do. And then even above and beyond that, actually, we just wrapped up production on a new RG spot with Connor McDavid, with Edmonton Oilers, and he did a spot with us last year. And we've really found a really nice opportunity to, bring forth RG messaging in a fun, entertaining way while using some of our brand ambassadors. And again, it is not done in a vacuum. It's done with intention from the very beginning.
Yeah, I loved that spot last year.
We got even a better one coming out soon.
Yeah, I've written numerous times about how much I hate the marketing in the sportsbook world. It was just hits you over the head so hard, a lot of it. But that ad really hit every note, I thought. It brought in responsible gambling in a way that I think people who gamble and who never think that they might be at risk can sit back for a second and be like, hey, you know what? I can see how this could go wrong for me, and maybe take a step or two to prevent that. I really thought it was an awesome ad. The industry is still like in its infancy, obviously, but like despite that, as I just mentioned, the ad saturation has been through the roof, ad fatigue, regulatory challenge, all of it. I mean, what do you see as like the biggest challenge from the marketing perspective, over the next few years?
From a marketing perspective, there's a lot of spend in the marketplace, a lot of competition, as you mentioned. When it comes to ad saturation, you've seen, obviously like in the NFL, there's 6 spots allowed in the game. 8 years ago, it was like every break, it was 2 or 3. So, working with partners and networks to make sure it's not oversaturated. But, what is the biggest challenge? One is just the speed. The speed at which things are changing is beyond the fastest I've ever seen it. I mean, you step back and go, my gosh, ChatGPT is 3 years old. Sir, I'll give you a great example. I mean, yesterday, I actually have Google here today, and just sitting with Google and what they share with us from 3 months ago to what's happening next month is like, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just getting my arms around what you showed me 3 months ago. And it's now like you're on V4 of whatever this might be. And whether that's Gen AI creation, I literally was creating high quality spots I could put on air tomorrow with my thumb in about 30 seconds yesterday. The search, for example, do you know right now, this is the first time in 10 years that Google's search penetration fell below 90%? Ask a teenage kid, do you Google it? I mean, I'm being a little like obtuse about it, but I'm watching, listen, I'm 54 years old. I'm a mid adopter. I bet you 60% of my searches nowadays are using an AI app. And now granted, you go into Google, it feeds you Gemini and whatever. I mean, everyone's got their own AI tool, but right now AI search penetration is 4%. Does that sound like a lot? No, but it took Bing like 10 years to get to 8%. It's taken ChatGPT 3 years to get to 4%. I mean, and now then you think about, like, I watch my 15-year-old son. My 15-year-old son isn't going to Yahoo, Google, Bing. He's going to Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, the list goes on and on. So it's going to be really interesting to watch the younger generation of, you and I can probably remember like, hey, just go to Ask Jeeves. It'll tell you everything you need to know before Google. It's like we joke about it, but this is beyond, crazy. But like, is Google going to be like, remember when Google was the biggest thing in the world? I mean, 20 years from now, granted, they have a great product with Gemini, but so that's like some of the biggest challenges, just literally keeping up at the speed of the game. It is so hard.
I'm in the same exact. I'm your age. My son's 16. Same boat. Google is not.
Watch him. Just watch him. I'll give you a great example. We had Jerry Ferrera yesterday, and I was talking about Entourage. And I'm like, I would remember Sunday nights, 9:00 was Entourage. I wasn't even thinking about it. And this young person last night at dinner afterwards goes, wait a minute. You had to wait until 9:00 on Sunday to watch Entourage? And I was like, at first I was mad, but then I was also like, well, yeah, that's how it worked. Like, you couldn't like press a button and watch this week's episode of Entourage. Now, it would air at 9:00 on Sunday, and then I'd wait. And if I missed it on Sunday night, I'd wait till Monday, and they loaded it up on demand, and I'd watch it. And he was like, wow, I was like, oh my gosh, that was only 10 years ago, 15 years ago that I was there. And now this 25-year-old person, they're like, their mind is blown.
Tell them what it was like to try to program a VCR. Speaking of, like talking about the internet and like Ask Jeeves, my first job in journalism was a fact checker for New Jersey Monthly Magazine, which is exactly what it sounds like. Stories would come in and I'd have to fact check them. This was 97, 98. I was not allowed to use the internet because you couldn't trust the internet for facts. I mean, it's unbelievable. Big picture, what do you think sports books and iCasino have not gotten right in the 7-8 years that they've been doing this? And I'm asking you this looking at it from the perspective of someone who kind of just jumped into this 10 months ago.
Yeah, I'll give you my 10 months ago answer. As you mentioned, there's a lot, it's some of the marketing advertising, and I don't think BetMGM falls into this bucket, and they don't. Prior to and even joining now, leading the brand, like it is pretty noisy. It's a lot of shouting at and talking to talking at, if you will, and not talking to. And our approach is, we're not screaming from the rooftops, bet and gets and first time offers. Of course, we offer that, and there's a place and time for that. But it's all about, this is a long game that we're playing. Like, we want to have players, we want players to consider BetMGM as they're downloading the apps. And certainly if they got 3, 4, 5 apps, whatever it might be, we want to be top of mind and a wallet share. And so it's a long game that we're playing, in that it's not just, for a short-term gain. And this is a long game that we're playing. And that's where we try to invest the most with our brand, our marketing, and certainly our player experience.
All right, last question for you before I let you go. So you've had the samples, you've done it all. New York or Detroit style pizza, you got to choose one.
Oh, man, you're putting me in a tough spot. I'm going Detroit. Old school, the pan, the sauce on top. Now, listen, I didn't even know Detroit pizza was a thing. Like, it was like, oh, this is where I'm from. And then all of a sudden, you travel around the country now, and I was like, I didn't even know Detroit pizza was a quote-unquote thing. But, hey, that's what brands do.
There you go. All right, Casey, thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck. Looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with that brand over there at BetMGM. And have a good one, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, so much. Appreciate you.
The Business of Betting podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. 4 out of the top 5 U.S. operators personalize player experiences with Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/businessofbetting. And if you like what you see, you will get your first month free.